Hello everyone and welcome. We are here to continue our journey within the Fusion page, and today we're going to have a look how to navigate in here, how to add, remove, rename nodes, organize them. We're going to slowly move through the node editor. So today we are looking only at the node editor. We are inside DaVinci Resolve already, so let's begin navigating through the node editor. You can middle mouse button press to drag it like that. You can use your scroll wheel to do something like this, to go up and down, or if you press Ctrl, it's going to enable zoom in and out. But when your work in here becomes too cluttered and too complicated, you can press V for a node editor navigator. You can scale it, and you can move right in here. Also, this scale navigator will pop up automatically once you get away from your nodes. Once at least one node is going to become invisible. This tool will pop up automatically. But in options, I think it was in options. Yeah, show navigator. We have a thing in here that is called auto navigator. You need to engage that, and when you move away from your nodes, it's going to appear automatically. But if it doesn't, and if you prefer to work, and if you prefer to control it your way, you can press V, and it's going to go to appear and disappear. But it, I guess, yeah, it disengages auto navigator. You need to engage it once again. So these are the basic ways you can move through your node editor. Now, how we already talked a little bit about how you can add nodes, but let's talk about that again, because there are some things that I haven't told you. For example, let's assume that we're not really going to use this way, because this is not really a convenient way. Let's use Control backspace and find the node that we need. If nothing is selected in here, when you press Control backspace and type something like defocus, find it in here, press enter, it's going to appear somewhere on the grid. And in order to move it right in here, as you can see, nothing is happening. You need to hold shift, and when this line becomes like this one, we can drop it in here, and it goes into our pipeline. But backspace to delete. If our media in, for example, is selected, any node can be selected for that matter, we can press Control backspace, find the same defocus, and it's now going to be downstream from what is upstream and what is downstream. We're going to talk a little bit later, but it's going to appear downstream from our media in 1. And and now our defocus is selected, and if, for example, I selected something else, it's going to appear next. It's an easy way to continue adding nodes. Now, the nodes that are in here, the ones that we are going to use most of the time, can be drag and dropped in here without shift, and it's going to add to the pipeline. What do I mean? For example, we can take these hue curves, move it in here, and I'm not holding shift, and the pipeline, this line, is going to change the color. It means we can just drop it in here, and now it is inside of our pipeline and connected to the media in and media out. Backspace to delete. But some of the nodes, they have a number of inputs and only one output, and you do not really know at the beginning what input you want to connect to. Let me show you that. For example, the node that is going to be used a lot, merge node. As you can see, it's got 3 inputs and 1 output, and they are just designated by colors. For example, this green one is foreground, yellow one is background, and the blue one is effect mask. And I have no idea to what I want to connect to. And we, for example, merge node is used to combine. It is very important node. It is used to combine several pieces of footages and a mask. I'm going to demonstrate it to you right now, and I'm going to explain the connections that the nodes have. For example, we have media in 1 and media in 2, and we want to connect them to each other and mask somehow. This is what merge node is created for. We're going to drag it, and we have some options in here. First, we can drag if you know you are sure to what connection, to what input you want to connect it to, you just drag it. And for example, this yellow one is called background, connect it to background. But what if you have no idea? Then you can drag it and drop on top of the merge node, and it's going to connect to the most appropriate to the default input. And then when you drag and drop this, do the same thing to the media 1, it's going to connect to the second input. But this one by default, the first that you are trying to connect is going to connect to the background, and the second one is going to connect to the foreground. And if you do not really need that, there is also a different option. You can drag it on top of the node and press Alt. Where I'm holding Alt and left mouse button, and I release left mouse button. Now we have the same options, the same 3 inputs, but in a text. It is easier to understand what you are connecting if you see it in a text, at least for me. And I want this media want to be foreground. Then I'm dragging this. I can hold Alt, but I do not really need that because the second input is definitely will be for what? For background, for foreground, doesn't matter. Yeah, I know that the second input will be the one that I want, the only one that's left. Okay, and if I made a mistake, for example, I'm connecting it to the media out, and I'm seeing that. Thank you very much. Yeah, and I'm seeing that I made a mistake. It's not what I wanted. You can change the input and output by selecting merge node, selecting any node, and pressing Ctrl T. Now the background and the foreground are switching places, and as you can see, the color of these lines just jump back and forth between them. It means that the inputs in which they are connected, they swap places. But we also have a third input in here, which is not connected to anything, right? This is effect mask, and we cannot connect something like media into it. We need to connect a mask. Okay, I'm taking a mask and ellipse, and if I connect it right away, it's not going to be easy to work with. So I'm going to select ellipse without connecting to anything. I'm going to align it the way I want. For example, I want in here a different picture. Then I connect it to the mask, and as you can see, the effect is not what we wanted. We can press on the merge node, Ctrl T, and now we have a piece of footage inside of the piece of footage, thanks to the merge node. Merge node, it's really important in this software. So you need to know to what input you're connecting, and if you have no idea, just drag and drop it on the node itself. Now let's delete. Let's go back. Let's delete all of that. We're going to delete that. Now, the order in which you put your nodes really matter in here, and I'm going to demonstrate that right now. Defocus, and then TV. What do I do in here? I'm creating a defocus on this image, so I'm making it softer, And then I'm overlaying a TV effect, like these lines, like it is a very old TV, okay? And it's going to media out to render. If I change the order of these nodes, first I've got a TV in here and then defocus. You can see that the TV effect disappeared completely because we have a TV effect overlaying on our image, and then defocus is going to affect everything that is before defocus. So it's going to affect media in as well as the TV effect. And it's going to defocus the TV effect. The TV effect is going to disappear completely. And we've done like something that it's not going to appear the way we wanted it. So you need to bear that in mind. And if you see that something is not working the way you want it, just check whether you did the order of your nodes correctly, because this is going to change, as you can see, drastically depending on the order that you're using here. And how do you understand what is happening if, for example, I move it right here and this is going to be in here? What is happening before and what is happening after? If you're using something like a layered node based, it's kind of obvious. Everything that is up top, it's going to take effect first, and everything that is below, it's going to be concealed by that, and yada yada. But in here, it is difficult to understand. That's why they are using the terms upstream and downstream. If you select this node, right-click in here and select upstream, it's going to select every node that is connected before this node. It is called upstream. But if you click in here and choose select downstream, it's going to select everything that is connected after. This way you can understand the way everything is connected, even if you are not organized. For example, it is in here, I have no idea what it is connected to, and it's not a good way to operate, but I can select everything upstream and I can see that media in and defocus is connected before the TV effect. Okay, it's easy to understand what is going on before this node. Now, there is something that is called branching that you are going to use probably a lot in here. Branching is when you feed the same information into several nodes. I'm going to demonstrate it. For example, delta keyer. If I wanted to use the same media, I wanted to remove the layer like a green screen or remove the sky, do the sky replacement, I'm going and also overlay some effects on top of it. I'm going to connect the media 1 to the effects that I want, and also I'm going to connect the media 1 to the delta keyer, and I'm going to key out the green screen, and then everything is going to go to the merge node that we were discussing before, and then we want to connect everything to the merge node and then to the media out. And now the sky will be removed and this effect will be overlaid on top of it. If we do not really like the way it looks, it means that the foreground and the background switched places. Okay, this is called branching, when one media in or one source video is connected to the multiple nodes in parallel. We already talked about merge nodes. Now let's talk a little bit about how you can organize everything in here, because yeah, it is not connected like it's supposed to. Thank you very much. Now we need to talk about how you can organize everything in here in order to be able to, as you can see, you probably seen before when I moved TV out here, when it is not organized in here, it is very difficult to understand what is happening in here, and you need to, this is a very simple node tree. Some node trees will be extremely complicated, and you need to be able to find everything that you need in here quickly. That's why you need to stay organized, and there are some ways in here that are going to help you. First of all, if you move everything around, right, like this, you're gonna see that everything connects to each other with a straight line. And this can be like clustered a little bit. If you do not really like it, you can select options and orthogonal pipes. Now all of them connect at the right angle. And it's a little bit more like a neat way to display the connections. But if you do not really want that, you want to have these direct connections, but you want to create a right angle connection only for a particular situation, you can alt click to any connection to create. It is called router. To create a router, and you can create the same right angle connection right in here using the router. Okay, you can, if I'm not mistaken, you can connect even the second. No, you cannot use it like a very basic merge node. No, you cannot. Yeah, it's going to create a merge node, and you can create, yeah, like this. Doesn't really matter. So you can use a router to organize the things in your node editor. For example, I do not really like that. I can create a router, do it like this and like this. As you can see, we've achieved pretty much the same effect without changing the two orthogonal pipes. But if you prefer orthogonal pipes instead of doing it like this, you can change to it. We can also copy and paste nodes. First of all, you can replace a node. If you drag something from in here and drop onto a node, it's going to ask us, do you really want to replace it? And if you click OK, it's going to be replaced. You can Control-C, Control-V, copy it like usual. And yeah, sometimes you do not really want to copy the node itself. You want to copy just preferences, the settings that you've set. For example, you made a really complicated animation, or you've done like a very finessing in here in your inspector, and you want to copy the settings to a different node. In order to do that, you can click Control-C in here and then right-click in here and paste settings. And if DaVinci can find the same settings within this node, the settings will be copied to a different node. But it's not really interesting. This is very standard. The thing that is interesting is that you can create an instance node. In instance node, it is not just a copy of a node. It is a copy of a node that is going to copy every correction that you are doing to the original node. Let me demonstrate you. For example, this defocus. I'm going to Control-C, copy it, and then after TV effect, Control-Shift-V. No, this is not where I wanted to put it. Control-Shift-V. And it has created an instance defocus. As you can see, all of the parameters in here are in green. It means that if I change something in here, it's going to automatically change the same parameter in here. They are connected. If you're doing a very big project and you want to have the same effect after something, and you want to have the same settings, this is what you would use. After you've done copying the settings and you now want them to do their separate things, you can disconnect them. Right-click in here, and somewhere in here, the instance. Now they are disconnected. You can Control-Z to undo that, to return to their connections. But if you've closed your DaVinci and then you come in here and you want to have them connected like an instance like before, there is not, you cannot do that. You need to create another instance from this defocus in order for this to have a connection, in order for this to work. But this is a pretty interesting tool that you're gonna use. Not all the time, but sometimes it's going to save you a lot of time. Yeah. Now you can rename any of the node by pressing F2 for this TV, television. Now it's called television. I don't know why would you do that, but yeah, rename it to something that makes sense. This is another way how you can stay organized in your note editor. Another way for your organization is sticky notes. Control-Shift, sticky notes. You can hover it in here, for example, double click to unfold it, to expand it. Then type in here, type anything you want. And now this sticky note will be here. You can collapse it. And now it will be here. This is a good way for, like, if you created a project for somebody and somebody needs to understand what you're doing in here, sticky notes is a great way for you to explain everything that is happening in here. Backspace to delete a sticky note. A similar thing to a sticky note is called an underlay boxes, but underlay box, just drag it in here, expand, and everything that it is in underlay box is going to be like connected. If you move underlay box, the notes that are within are going to move with it. If you alt-click the underlay box to select only the box, then press F2 and like something like defocus effect, I don't know. And now it is created. We've named it, and now we can move. No, it is selected separately. You need to click away and select it without Alt. And now we can move it right in here, like it is a one thing. You can create additional notes in there, inside of this. For example, transform, and now all of them are within this underline box. It is a very convenient way to do that. If you want to make changes only to the box itself and not to something that is inside, you need to alt-click the box and then do whatever you want. For example, alt-click the box. I can expand the box and include everything in here. But then to move it with the rest of the notes, you need to click away and click again without Alt. It's going to select everything in here. So Alt-click and delete. You're going to use that a lot to stay organized if you're constructing a very complicated effect. Now, you can find any note in here because sometimes, yeah, as I explained before, it can become complicated and really clustered really quickly. And even if you cannot see the note itself, you can press Ctrl F, type TV in here, and it's going to find this note for us. It's very easy, very convenient if you know the name of the note. But if you do not, yeah, there are really a lot of things in here that you can use to find anything that you need. And the last thing that I want to tell you is how to disengage those nodes. Remember, in the edit page we were able to like make them gray, to like disable them, and the DaVinci would not take them into account. The same thing can be done in here. It is called pass through. Ctrl P to pass through this effect. If it is distracting us and we do not really want to disconnect it and then connect it again, just Ctrl P and it's going to disable this effect. Ctrl P again and it is enabled. Also, you can lock it. Ctrl L. Now I cannot change anything about this effect. I cannot, in the inspector, I cannot change a single parameter because this node is locked. I can move it around, but I cannot change it. Yeah, I can disconnect it even, but I cannot change the parameters within the node. Ctrl L to unlock it. Now, this is everything for this tutorial. The tutorials will be shorter. They will be, we're gonna spend a lot of time in here because there is a lot to learn in here. So I'm going to see you in the next episode dedicated to the Fusion page. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.